never saw me, not truly. Just a blur in the corner, a ghost in daylight, a shadow they tolerated. I was the silence between their words, the pause they skipped over, the name they never remembered, the presence that never mattered. They passed me like smoke in the wind, looked through me like glass, laughed around me, but never with me. They taught me, without saying a word, that I was not meant to be heard. I asked nothing. Still, they gave me less. I cried once. They called it weakness. I stayed quiet after that. They called it coldness. I learned the language of silence. It has many dialects. The silence of closed doors, the silence of eyes that slide past, the silence of applause never meant for you, of birthdays forgotten, of names mispronounced, of dreams laughed at before they could even breathe. And I drowned in it, not all at once, but breath by breath, word by unspoken word. They threw their words like knives, but the worst wounds were carved by what they never said. Their silence, that was the scalpel that shaped me. I waited for someone to ask, for someone to care, for someone to see past the quiet and say, I hear you, but no one did. So I became what they feared in their silence. Not loud, not angry, not begging, just still, and watching. And the longer I watched, the more I understood. They don't love the quiet. They love what's easy, what's shiny, what mirrors them. And I was none of those things. So they called me strange. Too much, too little, too broken, too different. They labeled me before I could speak. Stamped rejection on my soul like a brand. And I wore it like a second skin. But even shadows grow sharp when left in darkness too long. Even silence learns to scream. In time, they ignored me. So I learned to speak without sound, to move without notice, to bleed without help. I became fluent in solitude, fluent in pain. I mastered invisibility, not as a curse, but as armor. While they danced in their noise, I studied in silence. Every look, every lie, every crack in their masks. I memorized the way they destroy, and I swore I'd never be like them. But oh, I would be worse. Because while they smiled and pretended, I was becoming something real, something raw, something ruthless. They think silence is weakness, but silence is where monsters are born. I was born in that silence, shaped by it, forged by every second they chose not to see me. And now, they'll hear me, not with ears, but with fear, because the one they buried in silence is no longer silent. I gave them loyalty. They gave me lessons in pain. I stood by their side when storms came, and they left me drowning when the sky cleared. I carried their secrets like sacred vows, but when it was my turn to bleed, they watched and smiled. That's how betrayal begins. Not with knives, but with silence. With eyes that look away when you need them most. With hearts that vanish when the fire touches you. I thought pain would unite us, but it only revealed who was real and who was pretending. They loved me when I was useful, when I was quiet, when I didn't shine too bright. But the moment I grew teeth, they called me dangerous. And maybe I am, because every scar they left on me learned to burn. These wounds, they're not reminders of defeat. They're proof I survived what was meant to destroy me. Each one carries heat. Each one whispers, never again. I remember the first betrayal, the sting, the disbelief, the kind of pain that doesn't scream, it hums, low and constant. You start to question yourself. You start to think, maybe I deserved it. But no, I didn't deserve it. They just couldn't stand to see someone rise higher than their fear allowed. So they cut me down, spoke my name with venom. Poisoned rooms I hadn't even entered, and I let it break me. Once. But here's the thing about being broken. You either stay shattered, or you learn how to burn. And I learned. Fire became my teacher. It whispered to me. In the dark. It said, hurt them by surviving. It said, use your pain as proof. It said, you are not fragile, you are fuel. Every scar taught me fire. Every lie taught me clarity. Every betrayal taught me strength. Because pine doesn't destroy you. It refines you. It melts the weakness. It reveals the metal underneath. They wanted me humble, obedient, silent. But I am done kneeling before the ones who built their thrones on my back. What's the point of being good in a world that feeds on cruelty? What's the point of mercy in a system that celebrates betrayal? They want saints, but they worship monsters. So I became one worth fearing. Do you know what it feels like to watch love rot into betrayal? To look into the eyes of someone who swore they'd never hurt you and see nothing but convenience. That's when something inside you snaps. Not loudly, quietly, like a whisper saying, enough. And that whisper becomes a roar, a firestorm, a vow written in blood and smoke. I will never be their victim again. They fed me to the wolves, and I came back leading the pack. Now I don't chase loyalty. I don't beg for understanding. I don't kneel for love that requires my silence. I burn, and those who come near learn what heat really means. Because I am not their scapegoat anymore. I am not their soft heart. I am not the one who forgives and forgets. I am the memory that haunts them. The fire they started but could never control. The voice that rises from the ashes saying, you should have finished me when you had the chance. They taught me pain. I told myself power. Now every scar I carry glows like armor. Every wound burns with purpose. And every name that betrayed me is etched into the flames that keep me alive. I don't need their love. I don't need their mercy. I don't need their validation. Because I have something stronger. I have rage. I have focus. I have fire. And when the time comes, they'll see what their creation has become. They'll remember the one they tried to break. And they'll whisper my name, not in pity, but in fear. I searched for a hero in the mirror. I found a beast. Instead, the reflection didn't lie. It simply showed me what I'd become, or maybe what I'd always been. Maybe the world just peeled away the illusion. I used to believe in goodness, in forgiveness, in the beauty of second chances. But those ideas rot fast. When you've been buried beneath betrayal long enough, I looked at my own eyes one night, and I didn't see innocence. I saw hunger. I saw rage. I saw truth, and it terrified me. For a moment, because I realized something sacred had died inside me, and something darker had taken its place. But that darkness didn't whisper destruction. It whispered clarity. It said, stop pretending. It said, stop waiting to be understood. It said, become what they fear because that's what they made you. I didn't become evil. I became honest. I stopped apologizing for my scars. Stopped begging for redemption from people who sin louder than I ever could. I stopped trying to fit into their fragile idea of good, because their good was just cowardice dressed in virtue. They call me a monster. But tell me, what do you call those who made me? Those who cheered when I fell? Those who smiled as they cut deeper? If my vengeance is evil, then their betrayal was holy, wasn't it? No, let's stop pretending. I see through them now, through every mask, through every trembling lie. They hide their cruelty behind righteousness, but I wear mine openly. I don't hide behind purity. I don't claim to be kind. I am the shadow they built and denied. They call me heartless, but it's because they broke the heart that used to care. They call me ruthless, but it's because they mistook mercy for weakness. They call me cold, but they forget who turned me to ice. They called me a monster, so I grew fangs. Every name they threw at me, I carved into my skin until it became armor. Every insult became a weapon. Every rejection became reason. I am not their creation anymore. I am my own design. Look at yourself. Look at what they've done to you. Look at how they taught you to hate your strength. How they told you to stay small, kid, obedient. And when you broke free, they called you selfish. When you spoke truth, they called you cruel. When you stood tall, and they called you arrogant. But you're not arrogant. You're awake. They hate the ones who awaken. Because awakened souls don't beg. They don't kneel. They don't play by rules written by cowards afraid of their own power. So yes, the mirror showed a monster, and I bowed to it. Because that monster was honest. It didn't wear masks. It didn't lie about its nature. It didn't pretend to save anyone. The monster simply existed. Strong, unapologetis, free, and I realized that's all I ever wanted to be. I used to think I needed redemption. Now I see. I needed revelation to finally understand that I am not broken. I am becoming something beyond their rules, beyond their judgments, beyond their reach. So when I look in the mirror now, I don't flinch. I don't hide. I stare back with eyes that no longer beg for mercy, with a grin that says, I know what I am, and I am not sorry. They will say, I changed. They will whisper that I've lost myself. But no, I've found myself. I've shed the softness that kept me chained. I've shed the illusions that kept me small. And what's left isn't evil. It's pure power, pure truth, pure self. They'll never understand that. Because they need their heroes shiny and safe. They need their monsters to carry the blame. But I am both now, hero and devil, saint and sinner, light and shadow. I am the balance they fear, because I refuse to crawl back into the light that blinded me. So let them speak, let them judge, let them tremble when they see what I've become, because the mirror no longer scares me. It bows to me. I am not the reflection anymore. I am the flame behind it. And when they look at me now, they don't see what I lost. They see what I became. They see the truth they buried. They see the monster they created. And finally, they see something worth fearing. I stopped running. He stood still and let the flames teach me. They burned me, scorched everything I thought I needed, burned the love, the trust, the illusions, until there was nothing left but bone, will, and ash. At first I tried to escape it, tried to find the light again, tried to crawl back to something soft, something safe, but the light never saved me. Darkness did. The world taught me pain, but pain taught me precision. It made me sharp. It made me aware. It stripped away everything fake and left me face to face with who I really was and who I could become. I stopped flinching, stopped crying out. I let the fire wrap around me like a second skin, and then something strange happened. I adapted. The pain that once shattered me started to focus me. It carved out the weakness. It taught me discipline, taught me patience, taught me how to breathe. There's not air, but smoke. Because when you live in flames long enough, your lungs change. You stop choking. You start inhaling it like life. The suffering became fuel. The betrayal became blueprint. The loneliness became laboratory. While they laughed, I trained. While they mocked, I planned. While they moved on, he evolved. I didn't just survive the fire. I studied it. I mapped it. I learned where it lived in me, and then I became it. I stopped trying to escape the fire. I became it. I used to see pain as punishment. Now I see it as preparation. A necessary burn to forge something stronger, sharper, colder, unbreakable. They thought they buried me, but the truth is, they planted me in ash. And I grew, not into something soft, not into something pretty, but into something that cannot be broken again. Something that smiles through agony. Something that doesn't fear endings. Because it is the ending, I don't pray anymore. I don't beg. I don't hope. Those are luxuries for the naive. I calculate. I listen. I wait. And when the moment comes, I strike. Because power isn't noise. It's silence. Controlled, contained, coiled, like a serpent, ready to bite. They wanted me to stay weak, to stay bitter, to stay broken. But I am none of those things. I am exact. I am methodical. I am forged. They still look for me in the ashes, hoping maybe I never rose, hoping maybe I never learned. But they're fools, because I didn't rise from the fire. I walked out of it, with smoke in my lungs, and vengeance in my bones. I am not the victim crawling back from the edge. I am the edge, the final step before the fall. So let them come with their torches. Let them try to burn me again. They forget. Flames are home now. You can't destroy what's already made of fire. You can't silence what breathes smoke. You can't intimidate what no longer fears death. Look at yourself. Look at the pain you carry. They thought it would crush you, but it taught you. They thought it would cage you, but it opened your eyes. You didn't just survive the fall. You learned how to fly, with wings made of flame, and a spine made of steel. Now, every ember inside me burns with purpose. Every scar glows like prophecy, and every step I take shakes the ground they thought they buried me in. They thought they ended me, but I was just beginning. I was buried in ash, but I learned to breathe smoke. And now I exhale ruin. They said they loved me, right before they broke me. Funny, isn't it? How easily that word leaves their mouths. How gently it slips from their lips, like poison disguised as honey. I believed them every time. I let their warmth melt. The ice I had fought so hard to keep, I let them in, and that was my mistake. Love was the final lie, the last trick of a dying heart still hoping for mercy. I gave love a chance. It gave me a grave. They said, trust me, and I did. They said, I would never hurt you, and they did. They said, I'll stay, and then they left, but not before setting fire to everything I was. Love was supposed to save me, but it destroyed me more beautifully than hate ever could. It made me soft again, made me human again, just long enough for me to remember what it felt like to bleed. And when it was over, when the silence replaced the promises, I realized something I should have known all along. Love is not salvation, it's surrender. Love blinds you to the knives in their hands. It convinces you that your worth depends on being chosen. It tells you that pain is passion, that destruction is devotion, that losing yourself is proof you care. No, never again, because love doesn't save people like me. It saves the ones who can still pretend, the ones who still believe in fair endings and soft forgiveness. But I'm done pretending, and I have nothing left to forgive. They said, don't build walls, but they forgot. Walls are what keep you alive. Walls are what keep the vultures out. Walls are what stop your heart from becoming their feast again. So I built mine high, and I made them thick, brick by brick, scar by scar, until nothing could get in. Not even hope. I buried my heart. I planted rage in its place. Now it grows wild inside me, untamed, unstoppable. It keeps me warm when love would have left me cold. It keeps me standing when affection would have left me weak. It burns steady, quiet, eternal. They say love is the greatest power, but love makes you kneel. Rage makes you rise, and I'd rather burn than bow again. Look at yourself. Look at the times you gave everything, and they left you hollow. Look at the moments you begged to be understood, and they met you with silence. Tell me, did love make you strong, or did it make you beg? Love is a thief. It steals your edge, your focus, your fire, and when it's gone, you're left searching through ashes for something that never really existed. I used to crave connection. Now I crave control. I used to long for warmth. Now I master the cold. I used to want to be loved. Now I want to be remembered. They will say I've grown heartless, that I've lost my humanity. But the truth is, I finally found peace in my inhumanity. Peace in knowing that I owe no one my softness. Peace in understanding that love is just another leash. And I've chewed through every chain. Let them fall in love. Let them worship their illusions. I'll watch from the dark, untouched, unmoved, because I've learned what they never will. Love is a battlefield that only fools die for, and I am done dying. I buried my heart. I planted rage in its place, and from that soil, a new creature was born. One that doesn't need to be held. One that doesn't crave to be understood. One that only knows how to rise. They said they loved me, but they never knew what love truly was. Because love doesn't break you and call it growth. Love doesn't kill you and call it art. No, what they called love was just control wrapped in comfort. and I am no longer theirs to control. So if they come for me again, with flowers, with promises, with sweet lies and open arms, I'll smile and I'll whisper, love was the last lie, and I'll never fall for it again. I stand alone, and that is enough. No crowd, no hand to hold, no voice in the dark whispering, you're not alone, because I don't need them, not anymore. Once, I begged for belonging. I starved for connection. I twisted myself into shapes that pleased them, softened every edge, swallowed every scream, just to be accepted, just to be loved. But I am done starving. Let them call it loneliness. Let them say I'm cold. What they'll never understand is that solitude is power. No one controls the one who walks alone. No one betrays the one who expects nothing. I cut the cords, every one of them, to family, friends, lovers, all of it gone. Not in anger, in clarity, because I see now, the more you give them, the more they demand. The more you open, the easier it is for them to bleed you dry. I am not broken. I am rebuilt. Stronger, smarter, stripped down to what matters. They mistook silence for weakness. They mistook solitude for shame. But what they fail to see is this. The most dangerous person in the room is the one with nothing left to lose. I no longer seek forgiveness. Let them hate me. Let them speak my name like a curse. Let them twist the story so they can sleep better. I am not here to be the hero in their bedtime fairy tales. I am the shadow under their bed, the regret behind their smile. They wanted me weak. Instead, they created a weapon. I don't play by their rules. I don't kneel to their gods. I don't shrink to fit their comfort. I am the consequence they never prepared for. I am the version of myself that their lies could not kill. Look around you. The world worships masks, smiles with no truth, words with no weight, love with no loyalty. But I don't wear masks anymore. I don't smile unless I mean it. I don't love unless it's earned. And I don't bleed for anyone who wouldn't bleed for me. This is my kingdom now. Not built with bricks, but with boundaries. Not guarded by gates, but by silence. You won't find me begging at their feet. You won't find me waiting for closure. You won't find me hoping they'll change. They won't, and that's fine, because I changed. And that was enough. Let them talk. Let them twist. Let them sleep soundly in their lies. I'll be awake, alone, unchained, unapologetic. They thought isolation would destroy me. They thought turning their backs would break me. But here I am, standing taller than ever, sharper than ever, quieter, but louder in truth. And when they see me now, they won't recognize what they left behind. They'll see the weapon they forged and wonder why it's pointing back at them. Because I stand alone, and that is enough. They spoke of devils in their prayers. They whispered of monsters in the dark. They warned their children about the wicked souls that crawl through the cracks of the world. They never realized they were talking about me. I am the storm they warned you about. I am the whisper in your guilt, the chill that runs through your spine when you lie to yourself. I didn't rise from light. I was forged in everything they tried to bury. Pain, loss, betrayal, silence. And now, I walk through the ashes of what they called holy, was untouched, unforgiven, unstoppable. They thought they could destroy me by calling me evil. But evil is just a name given by the weak to what they cannot control. So I took the name. I wore it like a crown, and I turned it into power. I became the devil they fear. I am not their saint. I am not their savior. I am not the one who forgives, forgets, or kneels. I am the one who remembers. I am the one who returns. I am the one who brings balance. Through fire, through fury, through finality. They told me to let it go. I didn't. They told me to turn the other cheek. I turned to face them instead. They told me to rise above it. I dug below it, and I built my throne in the depths they feared to enter. They say, light wins, but light burns out. Darkness endure, because darkness isn't evil. It's eternal. It doesn't need to be seen to be felt. It doesn't ask for permission to exist. It simply is, and that's what I've become. Not a man, not a myth, but a force. When I speak, guilt trembles. When I walk, lies crumble. When I breathe, silence listens. They thought they were building walls to keep me out. They were building temples in my name. Every time they cursed me, and they prayed louder. Every time they feared me, on they fed me. I became their reflection, their consequence, their God in shadow. Because if light is mercy, then I am justice. If light is hope, then I am truth. And truth, my dear, is far more terrifying. They wanted a savior who forgives. They got a devil who remembers. I do not heal wounds. I expose them. I do not bring peace. I bring revelation. I do not whisper comfort. I roar awakening. I became the devil they fear. Look at me. Look at what they created. Look at what I built from the ruins they left behind. Black wings, fire for blood, smoke for breath, and eyes that have seen too much to ever close again. They buried me once, but graves cannot hold gods. They burned me once, but flames obey me now. Everything they used to destroy me became my weapon. Every insult became a spell. Every scar became scripture. Every tear became prophecy. They think I hate them, but I don't. Hate is still human. I transcended that long ago. I don't hate. I don't love. I simply am. The beginning they fear, the ending they deny, the truth they cannot erase. They kneel in their churches and whisper my name in warning. They look into the dark and beg me not to answer, but I am always there, behind their comfort, beneath their peace, inside their silence, because I am the price of betrayal, the echo of forgotten pain, the mirror of what they buried, and I will always rise. I became the devil they fear, and now they pray to the dark, hoping I don't answer. They call it superstition. I call it memory. They built their heaven on lies, and I walk beneath it, with truth in my hands, with rage in my heart, with purpose in my soul. I am not chaos. I am correction. I am not madness. I am balance. I am not lost. I am chosen by the fire, by the silence, by the scars. They can keep their halos. I'll keep my horns. They can have their mercy. I'll take the throne they were too afraid to claim, because mercy built new empires. Mercy saved no warriors. Mercy never changed the world, but fear did. Fear moves nations. Fear silences kings. Fear rewrites history. And I am that fear. I am the storm that never ends, the voice that never fades, the reckoning that never sleeps. I am not asking for redemption. I am delivering judgment. So when the wind howls, and the ground trembles, and the shadows stretch long across their walls, they will know, they will remember, that I warned them, that I was patient, that I gave them time to change. But they didn't. And now, the devil they fear has come to collect. I became the devil they fear. And now I knock.